want to move on to that other story that is the nation's attention, I should say. It's the assassination of Charlie Kirk, okay? There is an update in this case that will fuel a lot of rumors, a lot of theories, a lot of speculation. I mean, you see what's going on online, but we want to sort out fact from fiction here, okay? So first, lawyers for accused killer Tyler Robinson have asked the court to delay a preliminary hearing. That's basically where the prosecution comes forward and says this is the evidence we have to support the charges, that there's probable cause. Okay. They want that preliminary hearing delayed. They want it scheduled for May. It's currently scheduled for May, but they want it delayed because not only do they claim, look, they received a ton of materials from the prosecution to review, approximately 12 terabytes of data made up of 600,000 files, including 31 hours of audio files, 700 hours of video, but also, here's the big one. The defense is arguing they need a delay to review ballistic evidence they claim could clear Tyler Robinson of any wrongdoing. What do I mean? In the motion, they write that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, we're talking about the ATF, was, quote, unable to identify the bullet recovered at autopsy to the rifle allegedly tied to Mr. Robinson. Now, spokesperson for the Utah County Attorney's Office kind of pushed back on that claim, telling USA Today that when a bullet fragment analysis comes back as inconclusive, it simply means there's not enough detail to say if it was connected to that firearm one way or another. But you can see why others would say maybe he's not the one who did this, right? Now, in a case where conspiracy theories abound, what does it really mean? For that, I turn to Mark Geragos, high-profile criminal defense attorney and friend of the show. He also co-hosts the podcast Reasonable Doubt and Two Angry Men. And I think we have him. Yes, we do. Steve Wolf. Yes, we got him. Steve Wolf, firearms expert, expert witness, friend of the show. We weren't sure if we could get you in time, Steve. Okay, I'm so happy to have you. Steve, I'll start with you. Is it possible that the bullet that was actually fired by the rifle, let me rephrase, the bullet, can it be the same one that was fired by the rifle, but there is a reason that the analysis is inconclusive? Can two things be true at once?
Yes, they can be. It can be the bullet can be the same bullet that was recovered. It could have been fired by the same rifle. However, when the bullet impacts and fragments, it may be unrecognizable. The marks that are made in here by the lands and the grooves inside the barrel could be so torn up that you can't conclusively tie it back. That certainly doesn't mean that it's not the bullet that came from the gun.
And depending upon where it hit somebody or how it hit somebody.
How it hit, if it tumbled, whether the copper casing came off.
Okay.
And interior lead. So there's a lot of reasons why it might not be positively identifiable, but that's not in any way conclusive that it is not the bullet.
Mark, Steve represents what the prosecution is going to argue. Steve represents what a prosecution expert's going to say. What does the defense do with this?
The defense is going to say, yeah, we agree with Steve. However, there's one big problem. This is a criminal case, and not conclusive is not beyond a reasonable doubt, number one. Number two, and Steve will tell you this, that is only one measure, what he just described with the lands, the grooves, and the markings, so to speak, on the bullet, is only one measure of what the ATF does. I've had countless cases with the ATF where they do metallurgical analysis, where they do all kinds of other types of analysis in order to basically try to fingerprint the bullet itself. This is not inconsequential. For all those who think it doesn't matter, I would invite you to read the motion, because the motion states, and I assume it's true if they're filing with the court, that the ATF and the FBI are also doing subsequent tests because this becomes a problem. The reason this was turned over is because it's exculpatory evidence. It's evidence that tends to show that it could impact the elements of the crime. This is not inconsequential. It does not, and Steve is right, it doesn't mean that he didn't do it, but it certainly doesn't mean that he did do it. And in fact, it tends to point the opposite way.
Definitely helpful for the defense. However, the counter-argument would be when you look at the totality of the evidence, surveillance footage, the apparent messages that were sent by the alleged killer. Officials recovered the weapon near the scene, one spent cartridge in the chamber, 3 unfired bullets allegedly etched with meme-influenced messages. Steve, let's talk about that further FBI analysis. What is that? Explain to me what they do there.
Well, there's one other measure, right? So certainly the barrel impacts the fingerprinting of the bullet, but also the hammer that falls onto the back of the primer here also has a unique signature. So even if they aren't able to get positive fingerprints, so to speak, off the bullet, they can match the impact on the primer on the back of the casing that they recovered, and they can conclusively decide whether or not that was done by the firing pin when the firing pin impacted the back of the casing. So they're not washed up just because they don't have the bullet evidence. The casing and the primer and the firing pin may also be able to tie the casing to that gun.
That's a good point. And Mark, you tie that with everything else I had mentioned, all the other alleged evidence put forward by the prosecution. If this went to a preliminary hearing, I would suggest there's probably enough evidence to say there's probable cause for this to continue on. Where does the defense go fighting this piece by piece? Because when he was first arrested and you read what they have, it seemed like an overwhelming case, and you talk about the potentiality of the death penalty. So obviously you said this is not inconsequential, but how do they fight back against all that other evidence?
Well, first I'll tell you what I always tell clients and sometimes judges, and they get a little mad at me. The standard for a preliminary hearing is probable cause, which I always jokingly say, and not so jokingly, is my client breathing? And it's a very low standard. But the fact remains that even for purposes of a preliminary hearing, if you have evidence that exculpates, and certainly the fact that they could not link the bullet so far is something that you're going to focus on. I guarantee you that the defense is also taking portions or has their own expert taking a look at this. You're also potentially going to have a fight. If there is any destruction of the fragments that were removed and are being tested during the testing itself, that becomes an issue for the defense. And you're going to have yet another issue. I mean, for, I don't know, going on almost 60 some odd years, people were convinced that Lee Harvey Oswald was good for the assassination of JFK. And by the way, people in real time, I remember talking with the late, great Cyril Wecht about this, who was convinced that he was not the only person, that it was a conspiracy. I don't mean to feed into the conspiracy things, but also at the same time, in any high-profile case like this, with all of the speculation and conspiracies that swirl around, sit back and let's wait and see what the evidence shows.
Steve, back to you real quick, 30 seconds. Is it possible that they could say this bullet was fired from a completely different rifle, or when you're looking at it, doesn't seem likely?
No, it doesn't seem likely at all. If they weigh the totality of fragments, they can pretty much identify this was a 180 grain or a 230 grain round, and that would add up to, the difference between, these two. So not conclusive either way. You might have another situation here, like you did in the Rust case, where the FBI destroyed evidence in the process of testing, but most of this is just micrography. Where you just look at this with a microscope and you look at the grooves on the remaining fragments, match them to the rifle.
Well, based on everything that's happening, we will see if this proceeds to a hearing sooner rather than later, if there will be a delay. We'll keep a careful eye on it. Mark Geragos, Steve Wolf, thank you both for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.